Good day to you all. Grab yourself a coffee and let's talk about the latest from Sony, the most beloved company in gaming right now. Game Rant have just put this up. PlayStation issues official statement ahead of Blackout protest. So we may as well just go through this bit by bit because it's quite interesting, and the timing of Sony's announcements, it does kind of make you feel like they're goading their user base and kind of almost like, do whatever you like, we don't care. It's just really bizarre. See if you agree with this once we go through it, and let me know your thoughts in the comments as always. So PlayStation is sending out a terms of service notification to users, reminding them that they have agreed the outlined terms ahead of the community's planned blackout protest. So starting August 23rd, PlayStation users plan to turn off their consoles, refusing to play any games or spend money on the platform until September the 1st as a protest against Sony's decision to end physical disc production in January 2028. In case you didn't know what this whole blackout thing was, some people know about it if you're right into, the discourse in the gaming world right now, in particular PlayStation. Otherwise, you may not have heard of it. So that's what that is. So people are partaking in this as basically Sony, we're not happy. And I think they're hoping that this then shows up in Sony's internal tracking, telemetry metrics and data which they track for PlayStation users, because everything's about user engagement time these days. That's what they track to the nth degree. It says here, now users are reportedly getting emails from Sony outlining the company's terms of service regarding digital game purchases. And this is where it's funny when it's like purchases and buying. They actually, I think, need to change the terminology here because it's a bit wild, as you'll see in a second. So the primary driver behind the PlayStation protest, right, we've already said that. So they're effectively going digital only PlayStation. You probably all know that. And this is the backlash from the community. And it's fair. I agree with it because I agree with the backlash, because games purchased digitally could be revoked or shut down, leaving owners who purchased the title without a way to access it. Them if there's no physical option. Also, if you lose your PlayStation account somehow, say it gets blocked, banned, hacked, you just lose your account details, whatever, you lose access to all those digital games you've spent a fortune buying. And you will have spent a lot of money because digital games are a lot more expensive than physical games. And then you just lose it. And, basically they offer no help and no way to get any of that back. Whereas if any of that happened to you and you have the physical games, try to see if in physical games here, got Destruction Derby, Resident Evil, and Drive Club. Drive Club's a good example. So that has been delisted. The only way you can play this is by owning a physical copy. You can't buy a copy. If you'd bought a copy of this digitally and somehow lost your account, the game's gone. Whereas if, you lose your account and you own the game physically, you just make up a new account and put the disc in and the game's ready to play again. So that is a big benefit which has been taken away. And we could do a whole other video on this when it comes to like consumer rights and digital DRM and ownership and all these other kind of things. But that's for another day. We've spoke about that plenty here on the channel. But this is the reminder which Sony is sending out. And I'm going to jump straight to it. So they've actually said it's not clear if the timing of this email is in direct response to the upcoming blackout protest or simply coincidental. So who knows? I mean, I would imagine this is on Sony's radar. There's been so much noise about this. At least their social media and marketing teams will be well aware of it. Will the people up the top that are actually making the decisions be aware of it? I don't think so. I genuinely think a lot of these execs live in a different world and all they are caring about is the share price of the company, which hasn't actually been dented by any of this. So they're probably all happy as Larry, laughing all the way to the bank. However, it says here, this is the note that Sony is sending out to people. This software is licensed to you, not sold. I mean, it's actually clear as day here. You are granted a limited, non-exclusive, non-transferable, and personal license to play or use the software for your private, non-commercial use on the system or device it was intended for. This license is only effective from the indicated software release date, early access date, or beta release date. Any rights in the software that we do not say are granted to you in this license are reserved, including all intellectual property in the software. Now, a lot of these licenses are actually similar to what the license for a physical game is, but you do have the ownership part here where you know, it is transferable. You could sell this. You can sell this on eBay. You can give it to your friends, family, whatever. We don't have that with digital. And the article goes on, the wording of the statement confirms Sony stance on digital purchases being licenses and not full ownership, highlighting the main gripe that users have with the company's decision to end physical disc production. Sony has reportedly spent considerable time on this decision, and Sony CFO Lin Tao recently confirmed the company plans to cautiously move forward in this direction. Still, pro-consumer rights groups like Stop Killing Games movement have called out Sony for this decision, and members of the PlayStation community have in turn developed the August 23rd Blackout protest, in an attempt to send a message to the company about their opposition to this controversial decision. The protest comes after a petition calling for Sony to reverse the physical disc decision recently blew up in the wake of the announcement. The petition sits at over 370,000 signatures, which is only a fraction of the over 95 million PlayStation 5 units that have been sold to date. As a result, some PlayStation users are wary of the upcoming protest's effectiveness, especially since it's only lasting a week. Moreover, the only major games left to release on PlayStation in August are titles like Star Wars Zero Company and Resonance: A Plague's Tale Legacy. I mean, Star Wars Zero Company, I actually have no interest in that. Resonance: A Plague's Tale Legacy does look really good, but it's not one of these games I'd buy day one. Some critics of this protest argue that a PlayStation Blackout would be far more effective during the release week of a major first-party game like Marvel's Wolverine. Interesting. What do you think? Do you think that would be the case? It'd be more effective there? Wolverine's taking a lot of heat right now, actually, and I've got a video going live over on my Pure PSX channel, which is linked down below. You can go and check it out. We talk about all things PlayStation over there, discussing the backlash which Wolverine and Insomniac are facing right now, and it's really quite interesting, so go and check that out if you are interested. It should be going live. It should be live just now. It remains to be seen if this Blackout protest can effectively communicate players' grievances with a digital-only future, and if Sony will reverse course on its decision as a result. Who knows? I unfortunately don't think they're going to change their mind here. I hate this direction. I always, when a new big game comes out, I always buy it physically. It's just not in my thought process to buy it digitally, apart from GTA 6, because I can't buy it physically. I'm not buying, this box and a code thing. I mean, that's just rubbish. Indie games, there's a lot of them, buy digitally because that's the only way to get them. Also, if there's a game that's a cracking sale digitally, you might just go, it's only like £3 or something, I'll pick that up. But no, all new games, it's always physically for me, or even just bigger games that I want to own, have in my collection, stuff like that. So I unfortunately don't think they're going to change their mind. And I think a big part of the reason behind this is because I really don't think Sony are going to see much of an impact until further down the line. I feel like this is a slow puncture. People are just fed up with Sony's, attitude towards, their customer base. And I think it will really start to show itself when the PlayStation 6 gets announced and revealed. Because a lot of people are kind of jumping ship just now. A lot of people are not buying as much. A lot of people are being really careful about their buying decisions. Like, I would say I'm doing that. I've actually, since this announcement, been buying a lot more on the Switch too, because I like how, all the games I've been buying, they're fully on the cartridge and I can play them right away without even a download. All of Nintendo's first-party games are pretty much like that, which is fantastic. Third-party games, it's a bit hit or miss. Some of them are, like Cyberpunk is all on there, but then the only one game key card I've bought, which is, because I try and avoid buying them, I just don't like that either. But to be fair, it is a lot better than the all-digital future of code in a box, because once you redeem the code, it's just tied to your account. You can't do anything with it. Whereas at least with the game key cards, and the one I own is Street Fighter 6, you can sell that. You can, do stuff with that. It's not completely tied to your account, even though the physical plastic cartridge is basically just a download token. But then I could use that, play it, and then be like, I don't like this anymore. And I could give it to a friend, or I could sell it on an eBay or whatever. So it's an interesting timing for PlayStation to release this statement. Do you think it is intentional by Sony saying, yep, you're paying for this stuff and you ain't owning it and there's nothing you can do? Or do you think it is all coincidental? Let me know what you think about PlayStation right now and this statement down below in the comments, and subscribe for all the latest and greatest gaming news here on the Gaming Coffee Club.